This is the Lamson Liquid Max. It's their brand new entry-level saltwater reel. It's one of the best entry-level saltwater reels. And today, I'm here to review it. So if you've already watched our video on the Liquid S, you'll know that I'm a huge fan of the Lamson Liquid. I think it's a really great package for a great price. And now Lamson has taken that same philosophy from the Liquid and applied it to a dedicated saltwater / big game reel with the Liquid Max. And while the price has gone up a little bit, I still think this represents an exceptional value, and it makes it one of the best entry-level saltwater reels on the market today. And I'm going to tell you why by going through our 5 factors, starting with the drag. Lamson has moved away from their standard conical drag system for their saltwater reels. And that all started with the Cobalt, which introduced a more ruggedly sealed reel than their previous models. And they've taken that same technology and applied it down the line, and it's now reached the Liquid. So you'll see, as we take this reel apart, you've got no parts that are exposed to that salt water. And that's gonna make this reel, at least in theory, a more sealed, better sealed reel that's gonna be more well-suited for saltwater applications. And because of the added size here, it's allowed them to really beef up that drag. So you can get a lot more drag strength out of a Liquid Max than you can out of a more traditional Liquid S. How much drag, you might be wondering? Well, I'd say if you turn it all the way down, you're looking at somewhere in the 8-pound range. It's really gonna be right up there with some of the very best saltwater reels. And it's also really smooth. So as I'm turning this, even with the dial cranked down all the way, you're getting a really nice smooth drag. And that is exceptional for a reel at this price point. As you crank this drag down, you'll notice that it has about 2.5 turns of adjustability, which is about the same as the Hatch Iconic. And that to me is about the sweet spot. It gives you the right amount of adjustability without having to turn it over and over again to dial in the drag that you're looking for. My personal preference is right there at that 2.5 turn mark. And as we mentioned, it is a fully sealed drag, though only time will tell how this drag truly stands up to the salt. Up next is going to be the Spool, which as you can see is absolutely huge. Lamson has gone really big into the extra large arbor realm, and they have not held back on this Liquid Max. It picks up an absolutely massive 11 inches per turn, which is going to mean about 110 turns for your 100 feet of fly line. That is insane. That is some of the fastest line pickup you can get anywhere. It's gonna be way better than even some really high-end reels. In terms of dimensions, we've got a max spool diameter here of about 4.3 inches, which is again, huge, paired with a nice narrow width of 1 inch. And that inch has kind of become the standard across the industry. 1 inch in diameter means you're not gonna be seeing that line pile up. You're not gonna have to be your own level wind. It's a really nice narrow diameter. And last but not least, we've got a massive 3-inch arbor. And like I already said, this reel picks up line extremely fast. It's also got really great backing capacity. We've measured it at about 300 yards with a weight forward 8-weight line and 20-pound Dacron. Lamson says 250 yards, but that's probably a little bit on the conservative side. I'd split the middle if I were filling it. All in all, I'm really impressed with the spool design, and it's really one of the best out there, and it adds a ton to the performance of this reel. This review is brought to you by Trident Travel, which is our new destination travel service where you'll get our expert advice, planning, and guidance at no additional cost. That means no credit card fees, no booking fees, and for a limited time, you'll even earn Trident rewards on your travel bookings. So with every trip you book, you'll be earning valuable points that you can use towards free tackle here at Trident. Recently, we've had some clients go on some absolutely fantastic trips like taimen fishing in Mongolia, arapaima fishing in Guyana, and even Atlantic salmon fishing in Labrador. So if you're thinking about taking a fly fishing trip, Trident Travel is the way to do it. We've got a ton of great destinations, excellent service, and even more destinations being added every month. Check us out at tridentflyfishing.com/travel. And up next is weight. And this Liquid Max comes in at 7.9 ounces, which is pretty good. It's definitely not the lightest reel out there, and that's kind of what you'd expect for a reel that's cast and painted. That said, it's also about the same weight as the Nautilus CCFX2, the Hatch Iconic. So this is a weight that a lot of people are going to be really familiar with for their 8-weight reels. Now, if you're looking for that ultra lightweight, Lamson makes the Lightspeed M. But for most people, this is probably going to be okay and also very comfortable. Up next is going to be the sound, and well, let's have a listen. As you can see, the sound on this reel is all Lamson. It sounds a lot like most of their reels. It's got a slightly, albeit somewhat less differentiated incoming and outgoing. Personally, I'd like to see more differentiation there, but it's got a really pretty pleasant click and it makes some noise. You're gonna hear it if that fish is taking drag or if you're reeling it in. Not my absolute favorite, but totally fine. And up next is Ergonomics, and the ergonomics of the Liquid Max, like the Liquid S, are really good. You've got this awesome, easy to grab, easy to adjust drag knob. It's definitely one of the better drag knobs out there, and among lower priced reels, it's gotta be up there with the very, very best. The handle has also been upgraded on the Max. It feels just as good as the handles from Tibor and Nautilus. It's fantastic. They've increased the diameter just a little bit to make it easier to grab and give it that big game feel. If there's one thing I don't like about the Ergonomics, it's how you take off the spool, which is right here. This screw, if it's tight, and it should be tight so your spool doesn't fall off, is a little bit tough to grab. I've loosened it for this video, which made it pretty easy, but if it's tight, you're gonna be digging in your fingers. Also, we've noticed in testing that if the spool freezes and you get a little bit of water in there, this can get stuck and that can create a free spool environment. So you'll definitely wanna be careful of that. But good news, not gonna be an issue for the tropics. But Lamson has actually listened to at least my complaints about this spool change knob, and they've actually included a tool for it. So while I don't think that this is really useful to take on the water because it's something that you can easily lose, if you're sitting at home or back at the lodge, you can use this tool to unscrew this really, really easily. So props to Lamson for paying attention to their customers. And last but not least is gonna be the price, and this Liquid Max comes in at $280, which is more expensive than the Liquid S, and certainly the Liquid S in the same size, but this offers radically more performance, a much more well-sealed drag, and frankly, I don't think there's anything on the market that comes even close to this right now. Our old favorite budget saltwater reel was the Orvis Hydros, and that comes in at about the same price for the 8-weight model. However, this reel picks up line faster, it likely has a more sealed drag, and is just an overall better looking package. Now, the downsides to the Liquid series still exist with the Liquid Max. It is a cast reel, it's a painted reel, it's just not gonna have the durability of your fully machined reels. However, if you're on a flat skiff, you're probably not gonna drop it. It's probably not gonna meet up with any rocks. So I actually think it is a better application of a cast reel to use it in saltwater than it is in freshwater. We're gonna be putting that reel down and inevitably it's gonna get scraped up. That just doesn't happen as much in the salt. So as you can tell, I think this is an awesome, awesome package. And I think pretty much anybody who takes their first saltwater trip or maybe only goes on one trip a year, this is gonna be the absolute perfect reel for you. If you start to take multiple trips a year, or you know you're gonna be going every single year, maybe twice a year, that's when I think it really makes sense to upgrade to something that's gonna be a little bit more durable. Also, if you're going to the Seychelles, you probably need to spend a little bit more than $250 on your reel. But I think that leaves a lot of anglers for whom this Liquid Max is gonna be the absolute perfect saltwater reel. Tell us what you think about this Liquid Max by leaving us a comment in the box below. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel because we've got a lot of great reel reviews coming right up. And of course, if you've got questions about this Max or any reel in the Lamson lineup, we've got answers at 888-413-5211 or email us 24/7 at support@tridentflyfishing.com. I'm Ben, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.